Welcome back, everyone. What we're about to break down is one of the most shocking truths in crypto, something most investors never realize until it's too late. Because look, if you're holding even a few hundred or a few thousand XRP, you might actually be positioned ahead of almost the entire world. And the data proves it. Let's talk about the global wealth reality here. To understand why your XRP position is far more powerful than it seems, you gotta step outside the typical crypto bubble and look at the reality most people are living in. Right now, a majority of the global population, they live paycheck to paycheck, and that's the dead honest truth. Saving levels are collapsing, real wages are falling, currency inflation is destroying the purchasing power. The entire middle classes from Europe to South America are being economically howled out. Most people don't have the luxury to invest. They're using credit cards to survive. They're fighting rising risk, rising food costs, rising everything. So the idea that millions of people will one day wake up and start accumulating thousands or tens of thousands of XRP, totally unrealistic. And this is the first point that most retail investors never factor in. We're going to talk about the XRP distribution shock. We're going to shift from macro all the way back into math. Because according to the XRP ledger's distribution data, just 2,300 XRP places you in the top 10% of holders. Around 8,000 XRP places you within the top 5%. Only about 1 million wallets worldwide hold what could be considered a meaningful position. But here's the catch that almost no one talks about. Wallets doesn't equal people. Power users, including your institutions, your whales, your exchanges, your over-the-counter desk, and serious investors, they often operate 5 wallets, 10 wallets, 20 or more wallets. You're not looking at 1 million people. You might be looking at a few 100,000 real humans. Globally, we're talking, with meaningful exposure. In a world of over 7 billion, that number, it's microscopic. This is one of the most misunderstood facts in the entire crypto space. If you hold just a small XRP allocation, you are already far earlier than you think. Let's break down why the majority of people will never catch up to your position. And it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't understand cryptocurrencies. It's because they don't have extra cash flow. Their economic environment is collapsing. Their currency is being debased. They have zero exposure to digital assets. They lack financial education. Their attention is locked on short-term survival. Think about how sad that is. That's the world that we live in. Millions of people around the world, they don't even have $500 available for an emergency. Don't believe me? Go look it up. So think about it. How are they going to accumulate 2,000, 5,000, or 10,000 XRP? Well, the answer is they're not. Meanwhile, large holders accumulate during the quiet phases, during uncertainty, during fear. They move structurally, not emotionally. This is why the distribution curve is so skewed, and why the early adopters will always be a tiny fraction of the population. When you zoom out into the behavior of the top XRP wallets, you know, the ones holding millions and tens of millions, you see something very telling. They're not selling. They're definitely not panicking, and they're not trading in and out trying to get cute. What do? It's simple. They accumulate month after month, quietly and deliberately. This is the behavior you see in emerging markets before institutional infrastructure goes live. It's what happens in commodities, currency, and early stage technological assets before the world actually catches on. These wallets aren't preparing for hype. They are positioning for utility. And this is where XRP's design becomes absolutely critical. Look, XRP is not a meme token. We all know that. It's not a speculative gaming chip or gambling chip, right? It's designed for certain things: cross-border settlement, deep liquidity routing, tokenized asset movement, high-speed institutional flows, real-time value transfer. And here's the macro reality. The world is already moving in this direction. Governments, banks, payment networks, settlement providers, they are all transitioning towards digital rails. Tokenization isn't a future concept, it is happening right now. Look at what BlackRock is doing. You see tokenization happening in money markets, bonds, treasuries, real estates, commodities, even corporate settlements. The global financial system, it's being upgraded, not slowly, but rapidly. And in a system where value moves in seconds, assets built for that purpose, they become infrastructure, not speculation. This is where XRP fits in. But here's where things get really interesting. Most people look at XRP's total supply and think, there's plenty of it, no problem. That's wrong. The liquid, available real supply is extremely limited because long-term holders, they're locking it up. Exchange holdings are decreasing bounces. Over-the-counter desk reporting thinning inventory. Ripple reduced programmatic selling. And utility-driven demand is slowly starting to rise. Now, ask yourself this question, and imagine this with me. Imagine what happens when large financial institutions integrate XRP, when tokenized flows scale, when liquidity corridors start to expand, when your ETFs or regulated products begin exorbitant supply like we are seeing now. The float just doesn't decrease. The float absolutely collapses. And here's the part that most people underestimate. Supply squeezes don't happen gradually. They happen explosively. All it takes right here is one major shift in demand or one major name to enter the ETF game. We've heard the rumors that BlackRock and Fidelity are starting to prepare their XRP ETF. We've already seen, and I've shown you the stats on multiple of my videos, and we cover all this in the live stream. We currently have 4 ETFs live. They are bringing $45 million to market every single day. All of that money is sucking up supply from the over-the-counter desk. What happens when OTC runs out? Where does that big money have to go? It needs to go to the public order books in order to get its XRP. What happens when big money enters into a public order book? Well, it's very simple. It sucks up the supply and the price reprices like that. Look, if you haven't booked a one-on-one call with me yet, if you don't know your crypto exit plan, you don't have your LLC, your business set up to run your crypto, what are you doing? Get down in the link below, get yourself a call booked. Now, one of the core messages of today's breakdown, if you're holding a few hundred, a couple thousand, or anything above 2,300 XRP, you are already positioned ahead of almost every person on the planet. You're ahead because, well, you acted early. You understood the macro shift. You positioned before institutional rails actually went live. You're not waiting for the headlines to tell you what's happening. You are doing your own research. You are reading between the lines. You understand that this is the beginning and the start of a brand new asset class. The world will eventually catch up, but because they need it. When cross-border settlement evolves, when tokenized value becomes the standard, when financial systems modernize, people will be forced into digital assets, not for speculation, but for survival. By then, the easy accumulation windows, they're going to be gone. The world is moving towards digital settlement, programmable money, real-time value movement, tokenized markets, interoperable financial networks, and assets that serve as liquidity layers in this system will not be valued the way they are today. XRP is built for this exact environment. That's why large holders, they accumulate. That's why distribution curves keep tightening. That's why your regulatory frameworks, they keep evolving. And that is why institutions keep building infrastructure around digital settlement rails. You are not early by months, everyone. You are early by years. And when the transition finally clicks, because it's going to click, most people won't have the ability or the liquidity to position themselves the way that you already have. So here's the bottom line. Do not underestimate your position. Do not compare yourself to unrealistic expectations. Do not assume that the world is accumulating at the same pace you are, because they aren't, they can't, and they won't. In a global population of 7 billion people, only a tiny fraction hold a meaningful amount of XRP, and an even smaller number understands the macro forces driving the future of digital value. If you hold any XRP at all, especially a few thousand, you are already far ahead of a world that hasn't yet realized what is coming. If you got value from this breakdown and you want to see more videos like this, hit that like button for me and share with someone who needs to see the data for themselves. Make sure you comment down below so I know you like this style video, and I'll keep producing them. More deep level crypto analysis, folks, it's coming soon.